Well, I'm still stuffed. Happy Cyber Monday. Welcome to another great week of Spicer & Company. I'm Sean Spicer.
And I'm Lindsay Keith. Well, Sean, hope you had a great Thanksgiving weekend, and you as at home there as well, and maybe got some good deals today and on Black Friday. The deals are still happening. I know. Go home after this and just score the internet and see what I can find out there. But big news coming out of this weekend was that Joe Biden has announced his White House communications team and has appointed many women for key roles. But, the interesting thing is here, Sean, the mainstream media is spinning this a bit to fit the narrative that they want to create.
Yeah, shocker. It was funny. You started seeing these stories pop from the Washington Times and CNN, New York Times. I mean, take a look at a couple of these headlines, Lindsay. Biden announces all-female senior White House communications team. The Washington Post. Biden hires all-female senior communications team, names Nina Terridan director of OMB. The New York Times, Jen Psaki to be press secretary as Biden names all-female communications team. You know the funny thing about this is? There was something that I just couldn't put my finger on out of all these big, huge headlines. And then Kayleigh McEnany tweeted it out, and I knew I was right. She said, real Donald Trump already has all-female senior White House press team. So does VP Pence. So does FLOTUS. So does Second Lady. The complete discredited Washington Post once again reveals their blinding propagandist fake news proclivities. It was unbelievably, Lindsay, to see that this was the deal, that these guys, and I mean, let me just show you some of these pictures that they put out, kind of proclaiming that these were just, it was so amazing he was bringing in all these women, which is a great thing, right?
Yeah,
so let's show the Biden team. Can we?
I think we have a full screen of that. But it is amazing.
There it is. Wow. It's amazing. And then let's show the Trump team. Can I get that one? There we go. Wow. Look at all of these women. Although they do have a couple men in there, so it's not like it's entirely all female. But it's not like, you look at the top ranks, Kayleigh McEnany, press secretary, Alyssa Farah. It is amazing the lengths to which the media is going to create this halo around Joe Biden and his team. Nothing they do is wrong. Everything they do is right. The people that they're picking are amazing. They're just such great people. It doesn't blow me away that much. I want to bring in our first guest, though, to weigh in on this. Former acting director of national intelligence and former ambassador to Germany, Richard Grenell. Ambassador, welcome back to the show. It's great to have you.
Yeah, it's good to be here with you and Lindsay. I was just sitting here as you were talking, thinking, what is the Washington Post and the other media outlets going to do when Biden appoints the first openly gay cabinet secretary?
He can't.
It's going to be crazy.
Can he do that?
No, of course not. That's already been done by
Donald
Trump.
By you. It's funny, though. I want to show you this. I know you're director of national intelligence, so this should not be a tough one for you. But I think the Washington Post and others tried to pull the wool over people's eyes. We did a quick little, very, comparison. Let me just show you what it looks like, this narrative here. Here are some of the headlines that they put up, right, talking about how amazing and historic this is. But let me show you the side-by-side of what this is. Okay, so there you go. There's the position. Joe Biden's pick was Jen Psaki, a female. Donald Trump's, Kayleigh McEnany, a female. Comms director, Kate Bedingfield, it's already filled by a female, Alyssa Farah. Now the deputy comms director is going to be a female there, and Brian Morgenstern fills it but the VP spokesman that he has named for Kamala Harris would be Simone Sanders. It's filled by Devin O'Malley. The VP comms director, already on the Donald Trump side, Katie Miller, and the VP comms director for FLOTUS, the First Lady, is Stephanie Grisham. The point, Rick, is that this president, and this is just the second iteration, you used to have Mercy Schlapp and Hope Hicks and Kellyanne Conway. This president that currently sits in the Oval Office has promoted women, has brought in a historic number, and yet the press ignored that.
Look, I think we're at the point where we've got to recognize that the Washington, D.C. press corps is a bunch of advocates. They are a bunch of advocates. And so we have to stop expecting that they're going to actually play fair. We have to start treating them exactly like who they are, which are a bunch of advocates for the Democrats. And we know this, and we keep hearing it over and over, and the proof is going to even be more in our face with an incoming administration and how they're going to treat Democrats and the potential nominees that we're hearing. This is the story over and over. So I actually think that we as consumers of news, we have to stop expecting that the media in Washington, D.C. are going to play fair and just start assuming that they don't play fair, and therefore we're going to have to tell the story.
Yeah, and you helped do that because you retweeted this tweet that came out from Cliff Levy, who said, core to the mission, to the New York Times mission, we're going to scrutinize the incoming administration just as we did thoroughly to the outgoing one. I mean, are you kidding me? These guys have come up with some of the most kid-questioned gloves. I mean, it's not even kid-questioned and kid gloves. It's baby gloves and baby mittens, the way they've handled this team, their incoming folks, and Joe Biden himself.
I think literally, Sean, we're at the point, though, it's burn me once and shame on you, burn me twice, shame on me. Because we've seen this movie over and over, and we've got to stop expecting to be treated fairly and start doing, I think, what President Trump has done, which is take to social media, tell your own story, be aggressive about it, ignore the Washington, D.C. advocates. I mean, I've never seen the Washington Post and the New York Times group be so partisan. It's unbelievable. The national security teams are really incredibly partisan towards the Democrats. There was even a story recently where I got some inside information about the New York Times national security team, where the national security editor didn't get to edit a story. A story was kicked to the political editor at the New York Times. A very big breaking news national security story, not edited by the national security editor at the New York Times. They gave it to a political editor so that it could be more politicized. This is an open secret now in Washington, and we've got to be smart about what we're dealing with. Stop expecting that we're going to be treated fairly and get our own stories out and be aggressive about ignoring them.
I couldn't agree with you more. The funny thing is they love to talk about right-leaning media, and they act as though that they are neutral or in the middle. But to your point about national security, I want to ask you about this. This is definitely in your wheelhouse here. Over the weekend, an official from Iran was assassinated, someone in your world, but on the other side, John Brennan tweeted that, quote, this was a criminal act and highly reckless. It risks lethal retaliation and a new round of regional conflict. Iranian leaders would be wise to wait for the return of responsible American leadership to resist the urge to respond. Now, regardless of his pontificating at the end, how worried should anyone be about Israel or anyone else being retaliated upon?
Well, first of all, let's be clear about the situation. Nobody knows exactly, the public does not know exactly what happened or who's responsible. And we're certainly not going to get into the details of classified information. But let me just say about John Brennan, every single time there is a story about the Iranian regime, you can count on John Brennan giving aid and comfort to the Iranian regime. This is a horrific pattern from him. And it's got to stop. He's an American who's had access at the highest levels of our U.S. intelligence. He probably still has access to a certain level of intelligence. And for him to constantly take the side of the Iranian regime is scary. And I feel like we've got to start making it very clear that we know his pattern, we know what he always does, and he's always going to be against Israel, always going to be for the Iranian regime, and it's really getting sickening.
No, you're right. It is sad to see how these guys handle it. Let me just ask you real quick before we run out of time. Do you have any update? I know the Trump team has been working really hard around the country to try to deal with some of these recounts and some of these legal issues. Is there any big picture update? I know they were in Arizona today. They're still fighting the fight in Georgia.
Look, I'd say watch what we're doing in Nevada on Thursday and Friday. We have an aggressive legal strategy. We've gotten the judge that has been appointed to our legal case in Nevada is going to allow depositions, which means that we are going to be able to depose the Clark County officials who we know allowed a voting machine to be misused, to be weakened so that it wouldn't catch signatures. That individual has never been under oath. We are going to be able to put him under oath and ask him these questions because the judge said we could. The Biden team argued against having us depose anyone, and the judge ruled that we could have 15 people deposed. So we are going to get information in Nevada unlike anywhere else, and we're pretty excited about it because we've seen the pattern and we've seen the recklessness of the mail-in ballots, and we know that when you don't check signatures and you combine a secret system of allowing people to collect ballots and put them into the mail, you don't have a check and balance on the system, and that's what focused on in Nevada.
Yeah, once Nevada went mail-in, I mean, it was almost like it was legal, like it was all and out. They did it right in front of everyone's face. Look forward to checking back in with you on Thursday or Friday. I appreciate you giving us that insight. Thank you as always.
Thanks, Sean.
You bet.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.